Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming, and welcome back to 5 Things. Look, we can't do these all the time because, I run out of different ideas to ask the people questions about. But, I saved some up, came up with a couple, and I'm excited to bring this show back for a few episodes. And the first one is topical enough. We just saw the Legendary Edition launch of Mass Effect. That's all 3 games in the original Mass Effect trilogy remastered, put together and sold as one game. A lot of people are very happy about this. It's got all the 4K stuff. It's got some universal feature stuff and all sorts of nice stuff. But we also know that Bioware is working on another mainline Mass Effect game as we speak. And let's face it, it's years off. Going to be quite a while before we see it. But I figure no better time than the present to ask the questions what we want to see in that game. So here it is. 5 things we want to see in the next Mass Effect game. As usual, before I get into the meat and potatoes of the countdown, I've got to just point out the experience of asking the question. This was a hard one. I asked quite a few people what they wanted, and everybody gave me not just different answers, but conflicting answers in a lot of ways. And I think this is brought on by the fact that the original Mass Effect trilogy is very splintered. I mean, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, with the exception of the subject matter and characters, could be considered completely different game systems. One being very RPG-like, with all sorts of selling mechanics and equipping mechanics, whereas 2 and 3 kind of switching back to a much more cover-based shooter style of game. And while the Legendary Edition has seemed to go a long way as to universalizing these 3 games, they're still very different even in that collection, at least from what I hear. I have not had the pleasure of being able to play it yet. So, what I decided, I took all these decisions and these comments and I tried to parse them out and kind of make the best 5 that I could. So, what I'm going to do at the top is usually what I do is when I pick a 5 thing, when I pick one of the 5, I usually credit the person before I say the 5 or people who submitted these. Since these are all kind of, I took all of their answers and kind of like splice them together. I'm just going to go ahead and credit Michael Hoffman, Hufflepuff in Discord, Kev Tutal, of course, a Tiny Wizard, as all contributing answers to this Mass Effect conundrum. Now that that's out of the way, let's do this. One last disclaimer. The 5 things are not presented in any sort of specific order of importance. They are just presented to you in the order that I wrote them down in. So, number 1. No loot box or microtransaction type things. Okay, so anybody who played Mass Effect Andromeda, now look, it's a troubled launch. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people hated it. I actually found it to be my favorite Mass Effect of the entire games just because of the way the shooting goes. I know. Bugs. And it does not excuse the condition that they released it in, but overall, I loved Mass Effect Andromeda. What I didn't love about it was how they tried to cram EA-style loot boxes into it. And I'm talking specifically into the multiplayer. Did you want to play one of the Krogan in the multiplayer? Well, guess what? You can't purchase him. You can only hope that you receive him as a rare drop in a loot box situation that you earn from repeated goes in the co-op. Same with the Solarian operative. Same with some of the other operatives. And what's even worse is the in-game currency that you earn for it can only be used to buy more loot boxes instead of just buying the thing that I wanted. So yeah, this stuff needs to go. Mass Effect is not a place for it. It just doesn't belong here. And I'm not talking about DLC. I get you gotta make some money off of hard work, so if the DLC costs money, that's fine, but no more loot boxes, no more weird premium currencies, nothing like that, no cosmetic stuff. There's just no place for it in Mass Effect, so please leave it out. The next one is a little bit more of a pipe dream one because the technology, I don't know how they would pull this off. But one of the greatest things about the Mass Effect trilogy, the original Mass Effect trilogy, is the choices and actions you make in the game have actual consequence. They actually change the experience for you in the entire game. Hey, you pick right off the bat, is this person going to die or is this person going to die? And that's carried through 2 more sequels. Yeah, I know that the ending is a little screwed up and it all ends in a colored light sequence no matter how you did it. I mean, I don't know how they were going to end it anyway in a way that would have made anybody happy. But still, the journey itself is completely different and branching from player to player. And that is awesome about the game, especially when you put in Mass Effect 2 and realize that all of the stuff that you did in Mass Effect 1 carried over. With that in mind, they need to make this next game somehow do that with your original stuff. I don't know if it comes off of the Legendary Edition and then just Andromeda, or if there's just a series of questions of, hey, what did your Shepard and Ryder do? But it needs to matter. Everything you've played needs to matter because that's the essence of Mass Effect. That's really what brings people back, is the fact that your gameplay through this, your story is yours and yours alone. So much so that, and this was a specific suggestion from one of the people, and I agree with, that I think the character that you create shouldn't have a name. He or she should be named by you, and you should be able to pick from any of the Citadel races that are put forth to you. That's right. You should be able to play a Krogan. You should be able to play a Solarian. You should be able to play a Geth. Anything should be open to you. And really, really just kind of like pop the can on the Mass Effect universe and allow the character really to have some fun with who he is and how his game gets changed by the events of his previous games. So I would love that to just carry forward through the Mass Effect. Of course, the technology, I don't know how you do that personally, since it's just so far removed from the original games, but I would love to see all of the original games pulled through, and I'd love a character creation system that allows you to create anything, just anything you want. The next one is a fun one. I really like this next one. We want melee weapons, like real melee weapons. In Mass Effect, the only real melee weapon you had was the Omni tool. It would turn into a blade, or you could, I think you could pistol whip in one of them. And it just, there was no melee combat whatsoever in the game. Which is sad, because it would be cool, especially if they use the shooting stuff that they did from Andromeda. So I really, really, really want to see, and so does the community, want to see diverse melee weapons. Let us use a Krogan battle axe. Let us use some of those cool alien weapons too. Maybe even a shield on one arm and then use a pistol in the other. Just make that meta much more diverse in the combat area, and you'll make me and a lot of players very excited. Alright, so that brings us to number 4, and that would be visual diversity. Okay, so this one's kind of a weird one. I don't know that I agreed with this suggestion from a person that everything looked very colored the same, kind of muddy, but I do agree that I want to see some very weird, cool stuff. One of the criticisms for Andromeda, and this is 100% true no matter how much I like the game, is there's nothing really new in Andromeda. There's only 2 new alien races, and while there's a ton of new planets to explore and see, they're very baseline. You don't meet any crazy jellyfish aliens or anything like that, which you got to see in the first 3 games. So let's really just throw that out there. Let's get some wild and crazy aliens just running around and talking to us, even as companions. Just really make a lot of visual diversity in the game. I do agree that you kind of spent all your time on the Citadel or an alien planet, and the alien planets themselves look very similar in the original trilogy. With this, let's change that up. Let's get some crazy biomes. Let's get some crazy stuff going, and really, really show what just really open up the lore of Mass Effect. Finally, this one is 100% me, but it's something that has always bothered me about not just Mass Effect, but the Bioware games in general. I would like to see a neutral alignment. So in Mass Effect, much like KOTOR or anything else, you have this Paragon alignment and Renegade alignment, and it's like an alignment system. So the more bad stuff you do, the more you push towards a Renegade, and the more good stuff you do, you push towards a Paragon. The thing that bothers me about this is, the first time I played it, I just decided to play it like me, and I didn't get to see any real benefit of either side. Mainly because, like most people, I exist in a gray area. Some things I do are Renegade, some things I do are Paragon, and because of that, I ended up leaning towards Paragon, but never maxing it out. And I didn't get to see the Paragon stuff. So on subsequent playthroughs, I decided that I'm going to be completely good or completely bad. I would like it much more if you could really open up the Paragon system in this way. Andromeda actually took steps to doing that, which is one of the positives that the game did. And that's what I'd like to see here. I'd like to see a much more diverse alignment system than just I'm a good guy or I'm a bad guy. I would much rather see hey, I'm a neutral guy. I'm not necessarily a neutral guy, but sometimes I'm gonna do bad stuff, sometimes I'm gonna do good stuff, and that's still gonna give me its own unique reward, its own unique storyline, its own unique kind of presentation to you. And I think that's important in the next series, and I think that we really need to see that instead of just these weird, crazy extremes. All right, so that's 5. That's 5 things we want to see in the next mainstream Mass Effect. I'd love to hear from you guys. Was there anything we missed that you'd like to put in the comments below and tell us about? If you do, on the next 5 things, I will read your comments out. That is a promise. I always do say that. And I believe the next 5 things we're going to do are 5 things we want to see in Sea of Thieves, which I'm kind of excited about that one. So until then, you guys can contact us on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord. The link's in the description below. You can influence all of our shows from there. And as long as you guys keep watching and listening, we'll keep making them. We'll see you guys next time.